Hello everyone, it's Daniel Sokol. I'm a barrister from London and we have a very special guest today, the co-author of A Young Person's Guide to Law and Justice, Ronald Sokol. I have privileged access to this excellent lawyer because he happens to be my father. Recently, one of you suggested a video on the differences between the English and US legal system. My father is an expert on this subject, having practiced in the US and the UK, and now here in the south of France, and I thought that he could answer that question. So I'll pass it on to him.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm happy to try to help. When the American nation was founded in the 18th century, its legal system was based on English law. And many American lawyers at that time studied law in the English Inns of Court. In that early 18th century period, American lawyers used only English law books. The law in the United States then and today is thus similar in many respects, reflecting the common legal origin. But there are some major differences. In the United States, there was a Declaration of Independence. Written by Thomas Jefferson, it set forth an ideal that all men are created equal and that they are endowed with certain inalienable rights. America's founding fathers, Washington, Jefferson, Madison, and others, then adopted a written constitution. And over the next 2 centuries, the Constitution became increasingly important. Lawyers brought lawsuits using certain vague clauses of the Constitution, such as due process of law and equal protection of the law, as a means to bring about social change. It took almost a century and a multitude of lawsuits before the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in 1954 that Black Americans could not be denied access to the public school system. The use of the courts by lawyers to bring about social change is, in my view, one of the most significant differences between the American legal system and England's. It exists to some extent in England, but it's far more prominent in the United States. Another major difference, in my view, is the complex interaction between state and federal law. America has a national government based, as you know, in Washington, D.C., with a legislature, a Congress, which makes federal laws interpreted by federal courts, but there are also the laws of the 50 states, and each state has its own legislature, its own laws, its own courts, and even its own lawyers. So those are 2 of the major differences. I hope that was helpful, and in our book, A Young Person's Guide to Law and Justice, we give some other examples of the similarities and differences between the 2 systems.
Thank you very much for that very helpful summary. This is the book that we're talking about, so do get a copy if you're interested in the subject. It's great to have my dad as the first guest on the channel, so it's goodbye from me, Daniel, and goodbye from my dad as well.